All right, so in this video, I want to take a closer look at some of the analysis that professional lawyers are providing on the David case. There's been a few lawyers, a few Redditors, a few people basically been speculating on as to actually what's going to happen with David. Why hasn't he been arrested yet? When he will be arrested, if he will be arrested, all of that good stuff. And we've had some really serious people kind of throw their hat into the ring and give their opinion about this. So in this video, probably going to be a long one, I'm going to break down a bunch of these kind of lawyers, private investigators, all those types of people that have given their thoughts on the case. So yeah, let's get into all of that now. So this is a post that's currently going around on Reddit. Okay, it says it's possible we won't get any updates for at least 6 weeks. The investigation at David's former Hollywood home was concluded. His Tesla was released back to the impound lot and Celeste was released back to her family already, indicating that the autopsy was completed. The body was in such a severe state of decomposition, then likely not able to determine the manner of the death. So this case is still not officially ruled a homicide. It's likely they're waiting for toxicology to come back for more answers, which could take 6 to 12 weeks. Obviously, she didn't put herself in the trunk, but let's keep in mind it is possible that her death might have been the result of an overdose, natural causes, or suicides. I think natural causes is definitely a reach for somebody so young. But it's saying people don't recognize how long police and forensic science takes. I say at the very least by the end of the year we should have an arrest, but these tests take time. Then once the test is done, you have to process and interpret the results, which is also a long process. People are saying they're going to have so much to prove. I'm not an expert, but drugs could really complicate everything, right? If she's found with enough drugs, they could pull a she overdosed, I freaked out and hid her because people would think I did it or something else, which would confirm rumors about him being an underage person. Not to mention, they would have to prove that he was involved in PDF stuff with her and not just harboring a runaway. But they're saying that somebody in a YouTube comment has said there's rumors Celeste's family were blackmailing David for money by threatening to go to the cops for harboring Celeste being in a relationship with her and that he was paying them hush money. I guarantee she OD'd and dude panicked about having a dead kid in his house, but in any case, a dead body was found dismembered in his vehicle. The dude needs to be in jail. But some people are saying, I actually saw on the news article it was being investigated as a homicide, so the cause of death couldn't have been from an overdose, natural causes, or suicide. Somebody obviously did this to her. Okay. So everybody's speculating on that, and there's been another post going around that basically says the case is being solved. It's just being done so in silence and slowly. Okay, this case is silently getting solved. I find this case very similar to the Idaho murder of college students. Everyone was making up theories and getting mad how nothing was being solved. Meanwhile, everything was actually getting solved silently. How did that Tesla come here? From where, or at least from which direction? When was it parked? What was the weapon? Hair, fingerprints. I bet there was many hairs and fingerprints considering how slow and lazy they were at getting rid of Celeste's body. It's all getting solved. In fact, officers might be as aware as us that David is the murderer, but they're just watching him silently to spot any mistakes that he might make. Just because it's not being disclosed to the public, thankfully, does not mean that it's not getting solved. Any information made public can potentially damage the case, as David and his lawyers might try and get rid of evidence or create his side of the story easily. People are saying the fact that this even has to be stated should be a reminder that most people on the internet are teenagers or idiots. Okay? Basically, people are saying it's going to be months before we know what happened. I hope you guys know this. We're probably not going to hear about his arrest or anything until November at the earliest. People are saying that's if he's even still alive at that point. A lot of you don't know what cooperating with the investigation means. It means being subject to monitoring and all kinds of stipulations. It doesn't mean that he's free to do whatever he wants. He's probably being monitored as we speak. People are saying it's true. It's very easy to bring people in on suspicion of, etc., but sometimes it's a strategic decision to let the suspects stay out and watch what they do. Phones are probably tapped and they absolutely have 24-hour physical surveillance on him. Likely there is a flag on his passport. He might have even had to turn that in as an example of cooperation. In other cases, letting a person stay free for a little while has resulted in catching them disposing of more evidence or engaging in a cover-up with others. People are saying you're right, but the reaction of the public on social media of trying to investigate by themselves is understandable. I'm not saying it's the best thing to do right now, but it's a common reaction. People are curious and just want justice for the child. We probably will receive answers from the LAPD in some weeks. Until then, nobody controls the speculation about it. But people are saying exactly no press conference or nothing. That's why the reaction is the way it is. Yeah, because it's related to someone famous. They could at least do a press conference to say we're investigating, please calm down, or whatever. People saying, agreed. I was recently watching a new special on the Idaho case, and an expert, former FBI maybe, I forget now, said that law enforcement only engage with the public if they don't have leads or evidence, not least because input from the public means spending resources on sifting through a lot of bad information. Not hearing means that they have plenty to go on and don't need the public's help, as was the case with the Idaho case, as you noted. Everyone needs to look at the toll that those years of abuse took on the surviving victims of the Idaho 4 case. They were re-traumatized probably countless times. One roommate was trembling and barely able to speak when she gave her victim statement, half of which was about the public abuse that she endured. I hate to think that the same thing could happen to Celeste's family, or anyone really. There's a family out there somewhere seeing their dead son's face shared around with accusations that he's a PDF, just because he happened to have the right nickname and died in their hometown. No one has any idea if that's the Gus mentioned in relation to Celeste's past. Okay, people saying, yep, well said. People expect a play-by-play from the LAPD, but that's not going to happen. Anything crucial to the case that's released to the public can interfere with witness testimonies and then being admissible in court. If everyone knows it's not a witness testimony, if we have this much in the public, the private evidence is most likely exponential and a hefty workload. Solid indictments take time. And then the next comment says, oh, I don't think there's any doubt that it's getting solved. That's a treasure trove of evidence. We internet people can already see in a lot of it. So just imagine what the police have. Electronics, chat logs, testimonies, pictures, CCTV footage, Tesla info. It's done. There's really no rush. But then people are clapping back. They're saying, I think what a lot of people need to realize is that right now there is zero solid evidence that David is responsible for any type of murder. He's definitely responsible for the R word and PDF document, probably harboring a runaway child, but technically they can't arrest him without 100% solid evidence that he murdered her. And people saying, I'm pretty sure there's solid evidence we haven't seen by now. And people saying, if there was solid evidence of him murdering her, he would be arrested by now. So, yeah, people are debating whether or not it's other crimes. This is interesting. As a former investigator and patrol officer in Europe, not USA, this post is it. Police are smart and handling it professionally, keeping cards close to their chest. If you hand everything out to the media, the suspect will likely form a narrative in his head that him and his lawyers will try and pursue, and potential evidence from getting destroyed. The list goes on. While I understand the publicity, interest, and fascination with true crime we all have, you got to understand that at the end of the day, the parents of Celeste and the system failed her. She was never supposed to be anywhere near that creep. Now family and friends are grieving over the loss of somebody whose life was taken way too soon. However, I would also like for people to cool down a bit and not make insane speculations about this case further. A family is grieving, a child is dead, and a loser is on the loose. Let the police do their thing. So yeah, this is interesting. Okay, this says, of course it is. Everyone in the Hollywood Hills has cameras. They will know the last time she entered the house and or the first time she entered the front between cameras, Tesla data and cell phone data, because he could make bail. The charges have to be ironclad. It will be difficult to prove a case beyond reasonable doubt when they can't determine manner of death nor how long she's been dead. And with his alibi that he was on tour, everything needs to be specific. Hopefully there will be no jury and only a judge to determine guilt, since some jurors are idiots and don't believe in science. Casey Anthony case is a great example of this. This is saying that this is a snippet from some of the news reporting yesterday. When asked about it during an on-set interview with ABC 7's Philip Palmer Wednesday, LAPD Chief Jim McDonald said he couldn't share much about the ongoing investigation. They said, we have a lot of resources dedicated to bringing it to a conclusion, but to go beyond what already has been made public would be inappropriate. So the cops are saying, listen, we got a lot. We got a lot that we're getting through, all right? And, yeah, we're going to get to the bottom of it eventually, basically. But one of my favorite YouTube channels that I've been watching for years, okay, has finally done an update, okay? Criminal Lawyer Reacts, CLR Bruce Rivers, okay? He has done an exceptional update on the story. He's dug deep into things, and I've been waiting to watch this. I've been waiting for his reaction. A very incredible, genuine criminal lawyer who is practicing law actively. And he gives his opinion on a whole lot of cases, a lot of drill music, a lot of gangster rap that I've covered on this channel previously. And he always brings an excellent perspective, excellent breakdown, very, very laser sharp criminal law analysis. So it's a 35-minute video. I think we might be able to breeze through the whole thing. I've been waiting to watch this, so we might as well watch this together. And I'm really excited to hear what Bruce has to say about it. So let's get into it with Bruce.
So you might wonder why Mr. Burke's not in custody right now. Well, just because it's in his car doesn't mean that he's the one that did this. If you look at what happened with Casey Anthony's case, it's not very similar to it, actually. There was her trunk that smelled like a dead body, but there wasn't enough evidence to link her to the killing. And so until they've got something, they have to have probable cause in order to arrest him. But more than that, in order to bring a case, even though you only need probable cause to charge somebody, a prosecutor has an ethical obligation to not bring a case that he doesn't think he can win beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard for a jury. It might seem like a great idea. I'm going to go with this rapper. But guess what you are? First of all, you're a teenager. You don't have any independent means of support. You don't have your own credit card. You don't have your own job. You don't have your own set of wheels. You don't have your own anything. And guess what that makes you? That makes you controllable. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer, here to give you the news. Today we're reacting to David. And David's in some hot water. And we'll talk a little bit more about why before we get to that. This is brought to you by AskALawyer.com. AskALawyer.com.
So the reason why I think Bruce is going to bring a really, really good perspective to this, not only is he a criminal lawyer that actually practices criminal law, but also I think he actually is very, very switched on when it comes to these modern day social media cases. So not only is he a genuine criminal lawyer that is practicing law and actually dealing with cases like this, he's dealt with murder cases, he dealt with serious crimes. He actually is also super tuned into social media with the gangster rap, the drill music, all of these big cases, the murder of Fulio, stuff surrounding King Von, Lil Durk, all of that stuff. He's reacted to all of that. So he's not just a kind of, crusty old lawyer that doesn't really understand social media in the modern day. He gets all of the speculation. He gets that there's internet investigators looking into these things. He understands. He's making videos on this content too. He's making videos about this topic. He's digging just as deep as anybody else, like me, like other people, into the situation. And then he's bringing his actual trial knowledge to the table. And what he's basically saying is, look, this might actually be hard to prove. And I've heard that this actually does get quite controversial and that he is going to say some things that maybe make you think that David might actually have a chance of beating this. But he's going to break it all down from start to finish. I'm really curious to know what, as a criminal lawyer himself, which evidence he decides is relevant, the things that he's decided are actually worth looking at. And I'm really excited to hear what he has to say about this. Let's go.
VD, which is, everybody's got to be different, right? So David, he's a 20-year-old born in Queens, raised in Houston. He's started his career as a gamer. How do you start your career playing video games? This is a different world than I grew up in. He played Fortnite and would edit his highlights for you. Oh, look at this is what happened on Fortnite. Who the fuck watches it? I guess people do watch this stuff. Homeless Nick just raised his hand. So let's just take a look at this interview. He's a rapper, songwriter, that kind of thing.
Fast forward like a month or two, I'm making a lot of money. My mom's like, okay, maybe the game's not rotting your brain. I start getting copyright strikes left and right from UMG. And I'm like, what in the world is UMG? I don't know what UMG is.
Yeah.
So I'm not making any money now. I got the red money sign on all my videos. And I'm like crying to my mom about it. I'm like, yo, I don't know what to do. I'm not making any money anymore, blah, blah, blah. And she was like on the phone or something. She was like, just make your own music. Go, get out of my face. Make your own music. And I was like, wait a minute. I could probably do that.
And you never did it before in your life?
Never.
So that's who he is. Started out as a gamer. His SoundCloud was gaining attention, but he blew up after posting his song Romantic Homicide, which is, now this Romantic Homicide song came out ostensibly before he had some interactions with this Celeste. So Celeste is a young lady who was found in his trunk of his Tesla after it was towed into a tow lot, and the car started smelling really bad. So the people at the tow lot, tow truck drivers don't smell the greatest to begin with. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. And for them to call the cops because there was a foul odor coming from the car, it's got to be bad. And if you remember Casey Anthony's case,
there's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the car.
There wasn't even a body in that truck, and her mother smelled the remains. So when a body decomposes, it's really insane. But let's just take a look at this thing that went viral on TikTok.
I can't lie, this is going to sound really morbid. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but I've always wondered what a dead body smells like. I mean, I've thrown some expired steak into the bottom of the trash, and maybe 2 days later, that trash bin is smelling awful. I don't know if that's what a dead body would smell like, some rotten steak or some rotten meat, but like I've never smelled a dead body, but every account that I've heard is that it smells god-awful. It smells worse than rotten meat, worse, like it is just another level of just disgusting smell. And that really just makes you wonder. I mean, Bruce made a really funny joke there of just like, yeah, tow truck guys, they already smell bad to begin with. So if they're smelling the body in the car, that must be crazy. It must be super pungent. But like, it just does make you wonder. I wonder whether people don't even realize that. I mean, look, I don't know what a dead body smells like. I only know from having covered legal cases, having heard, in court documents and things in crime shows about how bad a body can smell. But I imagine a lot of people, maybe they get into murder scenarios and they don't realize they're trying to, hide in the body in the trunk of the Tesla. Maybe they don't realize just how like disgusting and pungent that's going to be eventually when the body actually begins to rot. You know, it's basically like you keeping a bunch of loose meat, I guess, a loose expired meat in a bag that's not airtight. No wonder it got discovered. But anyway, let's keep going.
In rap lyrics, so dark. And one of the things that we find in rap lyrics, especially drill, and this is not necessarily drill, but they tend to talk about real events. And then guess what happens? They use those rap lyrics in trials. It happened just in May in Minneapolis. We had 5 defendants on trial for a RICO conspiracy gang case, and this guy's whole video comes in where he talks about the very stuff that's on trial here. And you might say, is it art? Is it art? Is it art? Maybe it's art. Maybe it is. But it's going to show up in your, like Melly. You know, the very first video we did was "Murder on My Mind" by Melly, where he talks about, you know, the horror of killing his friends. I mean,
so a lot of people have compared YNW Melly's "Murder on My Mind" to Romantic Homicide. Both songs were recorded before the murder allegedly took place. And I think that really just, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's not a smoking gun because the murder happened after the song. But then the song is indicative of a mindset of these very dark thoughts that this person might have. And obviously Murder on My Mind has just gone absolutely parabolic as far as streams ever since YNW Melly was accused of killing his 2 friends. And he's still waiting trial for that now. It's crazy.
So we're going to get into the lyrics a little bit, but Romantic Homicide charted on number 3 on the Hot Alternative charts, which led him to being signed by Interscope Records. He was the opening act for SZA's tour, and you know, that's just snowballed from there. He got brand deals, and so. But what do you make of this? So early September, like I think September 8th, is when Celeste Riva's remains were found in this Tesla. She had been missing for over a year. Last seen like April 2024, when she was 13 years old. 13, and he's what, 20 now? So there's a little bit of an age gap there. And let me tell you something. A 13-year-old can't consent to sex. Can't consent to being a 20-year-old's boyfriend or girlfriend. So David's black Tesla was abandoned on the street in the Hollywood Hills. The car is then impounded. The tow people and the lot people smell something rancid coming from the trunk. So they call the cops. The cops lift open the trunk and they find a decomposing Celeste Riva, but they don't know who that is quite yet. And they don't even know it's David's car yet. They just are kind of investigating this. She's dismembered, she's decomposing, but they ultimately identify that it's her. So they think she'd been in the car for about 5 days before that. And they can kind of tell roughly, you know, based on forensics. The remains, like I said, were identified as Celeste Rivas. She had a tattoo on her right index finger that said shh on it, SHHH. Law enforcement told me that the remains were not intact and that the girl had been dead for an extended period of time. In December 2023, so I'm not sure what the timing is of the relationship between Celeste Riva and David, but in December 2023, he writes a song called Celeste. And so this is what it's like to not need weed to get me high. I love it when you told me when you cry. Just because, be my Valentine. I want to make Cupid suicidal. You know, these are the kind of thoughts that cross my mind just because. So writing a song about her would definitely be part of a trial if he's ever charged. Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed. Oh, Celeste. Afraid you'll only love me when undressed, but you look so damn gorgeous in that dress. I miss you so much, makes me depressed, but I digress because I love you so much, baby. Anytime you have a situation where somebody's unnaturally found, which is what we have here, the first person of interest is who? The last person to see them, right? And the last person most likely is the person that owned the car in which she's residing, right? She's, just so 13 years old, goes missing from your house for over a year. Wouldn't you just go fucking apeshit if you were the parent? You know, I mean, that's why you got to keep your kids close.
The body found inside the trunk of an abandoned Tesla registered to the singer David has been identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. The teen was reported a runaway and missing out of Lake Elsinore nearly a year and a half ago. Tonight, a house close to where that Tesla...
How bad, if you're a teen, does it have to get for you at 13 years old to leave your home? You know, I know there's a draw because, you know, David's this, you know, hit artist, but I mean...
Tesla was abandoned, was searched. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Caputo is there live now in Hollywood with more. Tim.
And Mark, those CSI investigators literally just left the scene about 10, 15 minutes ago. The police tape finally came off and we were able to come a little bit closer to this house. Now, we don't know at this point what exactly those detectives were looking for, what they got out of that house. We saw them pull evidence and put it into an SUV, essentially where I'm standing right now. We don't even know why they were here in the first place, but this house just happens to be literally feet away from where that Tesla was found. A dozen LAPD investigators took a computer.
So guess what happens? You know, there's door ring cams. There's, you know, traffic cams. There's all kinds of digital surveillance and digital footprints and just a whole web of digital information that you seek on to figure out, okay, where do we go from here? And it's so much easier than it used to be. You know, you just have to pound the pavement. Now you just get behind a keyboard and you figure out where was David's last known cell service? Where was he 5 days ago? Track his movements. Why is his car abandoned? And why was it abandoned by this house? You know, you take computers, you take phones, you take tablets, you take iPads, and you create a picture of where, when, and how people moved around.
Computer and other items from this Hollywood home.
I think it's interesting that he's talking about this, right, in the midst of the fact that we've just found out, if you saw my last video, that, you know, random Redditors are turning up to this property and actually, like, skulking around, looking in the gutters, looking in the drains, and finding an alleged key to a Tesla. You know, that's definitely not to put down the police, but it just goes to show you, like, there's so much evidence littering this scene, littering this situation, digital evidence, physical evidence, that it's really overwhelming. I mean, it's possible that that Tesla key is, you know, inconsequential, is not really going to make a difference when it comes to the prosecution. I think the most damning thing is probably going to be Discord logs, probably private, you know, iMessage conversations between David and Celeste, and really any data from that Tesla. But you know, anything else they find is obviously going to be a big deal.
Home just a block away from where an abandoned Tesla was found with a dead teenager in the trunk. Police spent hours at the home on Dehaney Place, placing several evidence bags into an SUV, but they wouldn't say if or how it was connected to the Tesla. Several homeowners say they remember seeing that distinct Tesla for a while. First parked in front of the house police searched today, then at 2 different spots on the street.
It's a little weird to see a car that I haven't seen here for a long time. Had a big dent on it, had a Texas plate on it. So all a little odd, but at the same time, you know, people could be hanging out with friends for a long time.
That abandoned Tesla was towed earlier this month, and workers at a Hollywood tow yard noticed a foul odor and found decomposed human remains wrapped in a garbage bag inside the car.
So the wrapping of the body and putting it in the trunk is, you know, a very deliberate act. It's not like you slipped, you hit your head, you died, and now you're on the bathroom floor and you call the cops like that. This is covering up a homicide.
We now know the young woman found dead was 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, according to the medical examiner, the same teen who was reported missing from Lake Elsinore last year. At a corner store in town, the owner recalled her coming in often.
She always quiet, nice. She come in like if she buy like a chips, soda, and leave. Sometimes she come with a friend from the neighborhood.
Eyewitness News has learned Rivas had run away from home a few times. She was last reported missing in spring of 2024.
So teens generally run away when one of two things happen. Either they're little shits and they don't want to fucking listen, or it's so bad at home that they just can't take the abuse anymore. And both can be true at the same time as well. You could be a little shit and, you know, being suffering from abuse. And a lot of times drugs plays a part in it as well.
So he's just picking that up on his own, you know, analysis, that there are two reasons that people run away from home. You know, one is that they're just so out of control, you can't control them, you can't keep them at home. And the other is that they might have a very turbulent home life. And that's what a lot of people have been saying about Celeste. I think it will be really interesting when we get some more information about what her family home might have been like. I think we've just heard recently that apparently her father doesn't live in the United States anymore. The mother can't really speak much English. And it seems like it's aunties and cousins and brothers and sort of maybe the younger or more westernized isn't the word, but, you know, and no disrespect, but the more English-speaking, more culturally integrated members of her family that were doing the posts on Facebook in English and, you know, reaching out to people and responding to people on Instagram and things like that, that were really trying to actually look for her and get busy and do things. And, you know, there's been speculation that the mother might have been undocumented and didn't want to go to the police out of fear of being ejected from the country. But, you know, right now that's still just speculation, but I think it's interesting that he picked up on that. You know, he's not read any of the crazy Reddit analysis that is hating on the family like we have, but even just based on his history of being a criminal lawyer and missing persons situations, those are the two reasons that people do tend to go missing, kids running away from home.
Those who knew Rivas, who just turned 15 a week and a half ago, say she was bubbly and sweet.
She just seemed very lively and friendly, a typical teenager.
The medical examiner hasn't determined her cause of death, but part of the police investigation will be speaking to the owner of that Tesla, a musician who goes by David. His real name, David Anthony Burke from Houston.
So you might wonder why Mr. Burke's not in custody right now. Well, just because it's in his car doesn't mean that he's the one that did this. If you look at what happened with Casey Anthony's case, it's not very similar to it, actually. There was her trunk that smelled like a dead body, but there wasn't enough evidence to link her to the killing. And so until they've got something, they have to have probable cause in order to arrest him. But more than that, in order to bring a case, even though you only need probable cause to charge somebody, a prosecutor has an ethical obligation to not bring a case that he doesn't think he can win beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard for a jury.
In Texas.
Now, that's a really good point that he's making there, because it's like he's basically saying, look, there's a lot of ways that he could get off of this. There's a lot of ways that he could end up not even having a case brought against him. Just because you had a body and just because the body turned up in your car doesn't mean that you murdered them, okay? Common sense might dictate a different conclusion to what's actually required in a court of law and, you know, what needs to be proven to a prosecutor to actually bring a case. But this is somebody who has got experience bringing cases, has got experience having cases dropped. It's somebody who's got experience of defending people for crimes, for murders, for RICOs. So if anyone knows about this, it's going to be Bruce. And I'm not going to lie, I think it sounds like Bruce is almost kind of quite firm in the belief that maybe he's not going to get charged with this.
Here with me began the American leg of his world tour on July 30th and has continued performing since the investigation began. Tonight's show, though, in Seattle was canceled. The medical examiner also trying to determine how long Rivas had been dead, but based on the condition of the body, it might have been a while. Those who saw the Tesla this summer and watched LAPD spend hours in this well-to-do Bird Streets neighborhood are rattled by everything that's happened here.
It's scary to think that this is happening, and this is a beautiful neighborhood, a very nice, beautiful, expensive home.
Nobody's at risk at the neighborhood. I mean, this is a very isolated, like the Petito, remember the Gabby Petito case? I mean, the people at large generally aren't at risk when it comes to something like this, because the guys who put their hands on a woman like this aren't guys that are going to put their hands on another man, generally speaking.
Expensive homes, and we would think that we'd be safer.
Interesting note, the home here behind me that detectives have been focused on the better part of today has 2 cameras above the garage as well as a ring camera. In fact, this entire neighborhood has pretty extensive security system, with many of the homes having several cameras. We do know from a couple neighbors I spoke with earlier that police were here last week asking to review or see some of the security camera footage. We don't know if they got anything, if it's helped the case.
You know damn well that they're not going to that house unless they have something.
As to this point, LAPD has been extremely tight-lipped about this entire investigation. We're live tonight in Hollywood. Tim Caputo, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Tim Caputo, thank you.
At the time they found the body, he wasn't anywhere nearby. He was on a tour. And on September 8th, when they actually took the car in, he was in Minneapolis, right here in my hometown. And he tells everybody that I'm cooperating fully with the investigation, blah, blah, blah. He had 2 sponsors, Crocs. Fucking Crocs. Are you wearing Crocs? If you're wearing Crocs right now, kick them off your feet and put them in the fire. And
Ah, no. Ah, no. I'm in the Crocs right now, gang. Damn, you got me, man. You got me. That's tragic. That's tragic, man.
Hollister, both brand partners removed all promotional content that David appeared in. Gee, I wonder why. We don't really support murder, especially of juveniles, just as general board policy. Give me a break. So he's canceled his tour. He's in deep shit. Interscope's parent company, Sony Music Publishing, and Wasserman have paused all promotional activities related to David out of respect for the seriousness of the situation and the ongoing investigation. David is, according to my mixtapes, David has canceled his tour after police finally began investigating him and searched his house in connection with the murder of 15-year-old Rivas. God, it's just so fucking awful. 15, what are you supposed to be doing? Chewing bubblegum and, annoying your parents with singing your songs and not cleaning up your room. I mean, that's where you should be, and getting halfway decent grades. Or in my case, C+. While on tour, David's show is styled to be a funeral. What the fuck? Not a good look. Okay, let's just check this out.
See, the reason why I love watching Bruce Rivers is because I get the impression that, like, someone in his team, obviously, if you follow him, you'll know that his, son tragically passed away. But he used to work with his son to maintain the channel. But you can kind of tell that, like, somebody in his team is kind of lining him up, teeing him up with information. And sometimes it's hilarious to catch him when he's just like, oh, what the f. Like, you catch him sometimes the self-snitching rappers stuff when he gets, he lines up rappers snitching on themselves, toting guns in music videos, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You can tell he's just in disbelief, like, what the hell are you doing? Bear in mind, this is a criminal, defense lawyer. He defends people that are actually on trial for murders, RICOs, gun charges. Like, this guy, he's probably, like, he's looking at it like he's looking at his defendant. Like, they're saying, hey, by the way, there's a video. I'm defending you against a murder case, but, check out this video of me online. Like, we're going to have to explain this. And he's like, what the fuck? Oh, my God, you didn't just drop a song called Murder on My Mind. Please tell me you didn't drop a song called Romantic Homicide. But that's actually what it's like. And that's why I love watching his channel, man, because he really can't, like, you can just tell that he's a real lawyer and he's just baffled by some of the stuff. And it's probably, on par with some of the crazy stuff he's actually had to deal with in his career. Wow. I haven't seen this clip,
I love you from the afterlife. Give me a break. What the fuck? That's so dark, isn't it?
Wow. It is dark. I mean, hear that.
Okay, well, that was special.
Yeah, it's twisted. So I'd been hearing stories about this Itami thing. He had a coffin and he was letting people write messages to their dead relatives and put it in the coffin, but I'd never actually seen the footage of it until now. This is crazy. This is actually the footage.
In the back of my mind, you died. Oh. Unbelievable. So
that's twisted.
Let's give you a little background on Celeste Rivas. David has yet to make any public statements on how he knows the young missing lady. Well, that's good. I mean, internet sleuths have been putting together things and putting together the pieces. So one of the things that people do that they don't realize, if it's not on the internet, it didn't happen, right? Isn't that the old phrase? Just like nothing good happens after midnight. Well, the problem is when you put everything on the internet, you're self-snitching because you're creating a timeline. Mercedes Martinez, the mother of Celeste, and aunt Dora Hernandez shared numerous posts regarding a runaway child. Reports state that her mother identified Celeste's boyfriend as someone named David, whom she has never met. So one thing is they have a similar finger tattoo, but it's been said that, a lot of people have that same tattoo. So I don't know if that means anything, but my guess is it probably does. Based on information available, David would have had to meet Celeste when she was 10 or 11 years old. Is that right? Her birthday is September 7th. David's Discord was started September 7th. Romantic Homicide was uploaded on YouTube on September 7th.
Wait, I didn't know he started his Discord on September 7th. Is that true? I had never seen that one before. Don't tell me he started the Discord on that date and he was already talking to her on Fortnite and stuff. That's crazy.
Rehab music video released on September 7th. His new album, Withered Deluxe, was announced on September 7th. Hollow Prayers, released on September 7th. Poetic Vulgarity, released September 7th. Once More, released September 7th. So, listen to these lyrics. In the back of my mind, you died. This is Romantic Homicide. In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry, not a single tear. And I'm sick of waiting patiently for someone that won't even arrive. In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you. This guy, a lot of times people who are creative geniuses are also sick in the fucking head. And this is some kind of crazy content. So nobody ever caught me, but I've spoken too soon in the back of a police car. I forgot whatever I knew. I ain't telling nothing. Do the same if they ask you about her. Jesus. So the song Decide was released in 2022. Aless was born in 2010. She should have been 11 when the song was released, with these lyrics. I know what the problem is. Save your tears. 7 years. I know life is complicated. 7 years. What does that mean? 7 years until you're 18. What the fuck? Here he is in One More Dance, where he's got his blindfold on, he's bloody, and he's hauling a body.
Yeah, this music video is super damning.
Unbelievable. He's so fucking dark. This is from David's Twitter feed or X feed. When I was writing this, I got a notie from you as you were talking about wanting to be with your mom and your sister again. Take me where I belong, but our circumstances won't allow us to be in our ideal situation. We got to push through it, bro. We know a girl named Celeste was in the trunk, but do we know that David Celeste and the trunk Celeste are the same? Do they actually know each other? And my guess is probably yes. I always say there's no such thing as coincidences. Apparently, this is from Celeste's account. It says more photos of David with Celeste. When your card declines at therapy and they bring in that Hello Kitty girl you met in 2021. Jesus Christ. My heart goes out to this mom,
I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Who's this?
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my. Delete everything. Delete.
So apparently this is David and Celeste together.
I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of kids.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah.
I really hate seeing that clip because I feel like that clip is just... This is one of the only snapshots that we done had of them two together in their kind of relationship and seeing their interactions and seeing how he reacts and seeing... it pains me to even say it, but seeing these two like low-key in love with each other, giddy, like a young couple, I'm not condoning it. But, you know what I'm saying? I've been young... think I'm in love with my girl, you're funny, doing little jokes, you're filming a little funny little video of each other. But bro, with the context of what's going on with the ages, this is all type of fucked up. And the way David's moving, the way he laughs, the way he's giggling with this, alleged, he's even alleged at this point, this minor, it's just twisted. I hate seeing this clip, honestly. It's gross.
Of kids.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my. Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes.
You can't delete it all. Look, we have it here. So that supposedly that's them together. And then here.
Wait, what was that one? I'm so serious, bro. Girls my age are R-word. I ain't seen that one before. Bruce got a few exclusives on here, man, that I ain't seen before.
We have it here. So that supposedly that's them together. And then here he is on some live where he's...
They're saying, who's the girl? And they said, you are a fed. That's really not how you should be conducting yourself. If you have to say that in response to who's the girl, that probably shouldn't be the girl.
And somebody says, who's the girl? Speaking of Discord, David and his fans had the Discord that he was active in. There's a lot of evidence here, along with the moderators, maybe having knowledge of the underage relationship. This is a message from Celeste. Is that her finger? So evidently, Celeste has posted this on Discord. When you're young like this, you're very impressionable, and everything's so damn intense, and you have zero judgment or foresight in seeing what's going to happen next. David, are you happily married or single? Me and David got a kid on the way, and her account's now been deleted, is my understanding. I'm going back home Monday. Awesome. Hopefully just in time for my baby's birth. So if she's pregnant, you've seen it before where somebody kills a pregnant woman because they don't want to deal with it. Fucking A. Guess what? Would you rather, eat a pillow in a jail cell or raise a child? I mean, I'd rather raise a child. A user called out David for dating a missing girl. You weren't given any proof, so that's all I'm going to think. And here's another conversation from Discord.
She was trying to go back to her family, and David would not let her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We have been calling and trying to make reports on this since 2023, and we kept getting brushed off. Like,
do you know how frustrating it is to report something to the cops and they can't do anything or won't do anything about it?
me and the 2 other people on the server, which have been trying.
You've been trying to go to the police.
We've been trying to go to the police, and we've been brushed off.
Who are you? Why do you give a shit? I'm sure she'll turn up. I mean, that's what you get. You get the blow off.
God, it's always the fucking cops doing some bullshit. Like,
The main reason why they wouldn't do anything is because us who reported it, we live out of state. And then, like, the moderators of the server, they all knew her age. They all knew exactly what was going down. And every time we went to say something about it and, like, say that it was wrong and that David was going to catch a case, but she's also in danger, we got muted. I got muted for a month straight.
So I really wouldn't be surprised if this is like not a one-off thing. He's probably,
this is mental.
Other younger underage girls, before her.
Yeah, because from what she told me is that half of them are older and half of them are young in there.
Oh, wow.
And they met each other when they were playing Fortnite and stuff.
So typical, if I can't have you, no one's going to have you.
Like Celeste and David, they were playing Fortnite, and then she basically came onto Discord.
My heart goes out for this family. From David's alternative TikTok, what was this one? Let's see what this has to say.
So this is the clip of him cleaning a pair of Jordan 4s that apparently belong to Celeste.
Oh my God, I can't listen to his music anymore. It just sounds so depressing. So here's Celeste's teacher.
That's her in my classroom in front of this poster right here. Okay, hold up. I got another one because I got a picture on TMZ of this other kid exchanging stuff with the rapper who we alleged did this stuff. Hold on a second, because he's also...
So this clip has been played a lot before. I've played it a couple of times. But to be honest, I actually find this video really uncomfortable because I feel like he seems almost gleeful to be explaining this, as he's almost talking about this like a bit of a clout chasery way of like, it's my student, look at the picture.
Like a great idea. I'm going to go with this rapper. But guess what you are? First of all, you're a teenager. You don't have any independent means of support. You don't have your own credit card. You don't have your own job. You don't have your own set of wheels. You don't have your own anything. And guess what that makes you? That makes you controllable. I mean, don't do, okay, I'm going to take this from you. I'm going to take that from you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, honestly. So let's take, one of the things that the cops are going to look at is a timeline, right? And they say, would he have had the opportunity to do this? So he starts his tour on August 5th of 2025. And the body was found in advanced stage of decomposition. The body must have been placed in the car around August 29th. They can't tell you for sure exactly, but they kind of have an idea. The car was towed around September 3rd. The body was discovered September 8th. And the tour has off days, right? So you can tell that, would he have had the opportunity to go back and do something, which is maybe when he was planning on to dispose of the body. His tour dates had him back from Canada September 1st. Is that when he put her in the car? So just some questions that we have. This is a sad case where it seems like there are multiple places, systems, and people that failed this young lady. But what's more is, how do you find somebody that doesn't want to be found? And if they don't have a phone and they don't have a digital footprint, but you have an idea who they're staying with, and then he writes rap songs about her, not rap songs, but writes lyrics about this person. How did the teacher know she was dating a rapper and the school did nothing? Well, the school's got a limited role, right? But they should have had somebody look into her disappearance. But that's not their role. Does California not do anything with runaways, missing kids? Probably have.
So I think that's a good point, right? And I feel like for all the people that have spoken negatively about the girl's family, like, what about the school? Why wasn't the school more on it with working this thing out, with applying pressure, finding out where she was? That teacher said, yeah, the girl came back from California and, told all of her classmates about this situation when she'd met this rapper on social media and ran away. Why didn't the teacher do nothing? What was he doing? Collecting pictures so that he can make a little viral moment and say, look, bro, what were you doing actually to prevent this happening? You want to act like you knew so much about this situation. What was that teacher doing? Okay, you can go at the family all you want, but it's like, bruh, what was that teacher? What all are you doing? What was going on? What was happening? All right, forget the parents. What were the teachers? Where were the social workers? All right, well, yeah, where were the cops? Like, why didn't the cops do anything? So yeah, I don't know. That video in the classroom just kind of is triggering for me. I'm not gonna lie.
So many that they can't. How did people in David's Discord know, and yet no one tried to save her? It's dismissive. Oh, you're coming from Kansas, and you're just online talking about her. What do you know? They're dismissed. It's upsetting to think that we live in a world where such an open secret can exist, and no one is willing to actually intervene. They are going to have to. The reason that Casey Anthony got off was because they just couldn't connect all the dots. I mean, you remember she lied like hell and she worked at fucking Universal, and then she even went to the Universal with some people, with some investigators, and she finally said, okay, I don't work here. It was the dumbest thing in the world. And then she had a whole story about a nanny that didn't exist. Well, they're going to be doing the same with David. Now, if David is responsible for this, the smartest thing he could do is not cooperate and not say anything with the police, because all he can do is hurt himself. But if he can account for his whereabouts and he had an alibi and has no idea how, when, or why this happened, well, then that's another kettle of fish, isn't it? Innocent until proven guilty, of course. But the first suspect is always the romantic partner. Always. It's the husband. It's the boyfriend. It's the creepy uncle.
He's making some good points, right? Because on the one hand, it's like, look, if he really does have a good alibi and they can't, if he's lucky enough that they can't actually prove where this murder took place, he might have a bulletproof defense. He might be able to just say, well, okay, let's take it to trial. What have you actually got on me? What have you actually got to prove that I'm responsible for this? And the prosecutors won't even bring it to trial unless they really feel like there's a good chance that they're going to be able to prove it. So it is going to be really tough for everyone involved. it's dark.
The closer you are, the more likely you're a suspect. And they don't, and she's found in his fucking car. So how is he not a person of interest or a suspect? Well, they don't have anything to tie him to this homicide. They don't have to prove motive, although his lyrics sort of give dark motive, right? Well, they have to prove how, right? How she died. Have to prove that it's a homicide and not a suicide. And they have to prove that, he's got some connection to it, that he was responsible. And they will probably do that if it exists. So what do we know for sure? We know that he did have some kind of relationship with her. We do know that it was probably romantic or sexual. We know that she's underage. We know that if he's busted for this, it's big time. When you're a 13-year-old and you're 19, 20 years old, that's a problem. That's a real problem. And the sentences for sexual assault on a minor are through the roof. In some cases, it's life. So if something went wrong where she also wanted to go back and he wouldn't let her, and did something happen there, or is she pregnant and he couldn't handle that, or did he just want to fucking kill somebody? You look at his music and the theme of his music; it's so fucking dark. We've got a relationship established. Even the teacher knew that she was dating this guy, and mom said she was dating somebody named David, and she's on Discord with him. Even she says, young kids, they're gonna definitely dive into electronics, because you saw they took a computer and I'm sure any other electronics out of that home. It's interesting because if there's a connection with that home, and there might be some Ring camera footage of her either going into that home or whatever, that is why, where was she found? Well, she was in the trunk of that car a block away from that house, or very, very close to that house. And the way they probably got to that house is they just backtrack, and they go, hey, I need to look at your Ring camera. I need to look at your Ring camera, all the way up and along to where the car was. And that's probably how they got to that house. So these cops are going to do their work, and it's going to ultimately lead them to somebody. There's likely no direct evidence. There's no video of it. There's no eyewitness, but there's going to be a lot of circumstantial evidence. There will be communication between the two. There will be other people that may have seen some or know of situations that might give a reason why this might have happened. And then they're going to show that, he was, whoever the killer was in close contact with her at the time of her supposed death. So you back all that up, and all of a sudden it creates a picture, and that is your circumstances. Circumstantial evidence is not any less favored than direct evidence. And what do? They build a house brick by brick by brick. Before you know it, you're left with no conclusion that this is how this had to have happened. My heart goes out to Ms. Martinez and, Celeste's family. When you're 13, you think you fucking know everything. When you're 14, you really know everything. When you're 15, I know everything. When you're 16 and you're a girl, especially, you're starting to realize life isn't exactly the way you thought it was when you were 3 years younger. And then all of a sudden you get to be 18, 19, 20. It really isn't the way I thought. But you still think you know everything. You're still dangerous out there. You're still making decisions without regard to consequences for tomorrow. Hanging out with some guy who's going on tour and you're still like 13, 14 years old. Give me a break. Nothing good can come from that. Ugh. My heart goes out to his family. This is just our initial reporting on David. My guess is that they're going to put somebody in custody within the next week to 2 weeks on this case. The forensics, the analysis of the body by a forensic pathologist is going to be huge, because that'll tell you how this person died. Maybe.
So he's saying he thinks that they're going to have somebody in custody for this in the next couple of weeks. Now that's crazy. A lot of people have been saying, they don't see how this thing's going to get solved. To a certain degree, it does seem like Bruce is kind of suggesting that there's maybe a little chance that, they might not be able to find a true homicide. They might not be able to find proof of where it happened, when it happened, how it happened. But at the same time, he's saying, look, give that forensic analysis of the body a few weeks, and they're going to be able to make a move.
She died from a drug overdose, and then they chopped her up and put her in the trunk, and, we'll see you later. And then they just didn't get to it before the cops did. That's a distinct possibility. So it might have been an accidental death. Or maybe there's an argument. Maybe she wanted to go home and wasn't going to be allowed to, and there was a physical altercation. Or maybe he just wanted to act out his videos, act out his songs. I know I killed you, but I loved you too much. Give me a break. That's kind of what his line was. I just love Nicole too much. Well, how about love her a little less? She'd be alive if you loved her less. That's code for I'm fucking obsessed that I can't control you, and so if I can't have you, nobody else can. That's what that is. And then you go berserk and you fucking just do what you did. Ugh, I hate violence. I just hate violence, especially when it comes to women and young kids. It's just never a good thing. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get some merch, because Nick is still homeless in his box, but it's a refrigerator box lined with.
So shout out to Bruce Rivers, man. Go and subscribe to his channel. Go and buy his merch. He's a great guy. He's really been doing great reporting, great analysis of all of these cases. But yeah, I feel like it could go either way. I feel like his analysis was really interesting. I feel like in one breath he's saying that, it could end up having a perfect defense. If he basically just turns around, if they do arrest him and he says, accidental death, there was drugs in the body. Toxicology is going to prove that there was drugs in the body. She accidentally died. We panicked, put her in the trunk, and it just went left. He might actually beat that at a jury trial. I don't know. I don't know how much evidence the cops have. So once we find out what the cops have on him and we actually see a potential arrest, I think the whole thing is going to just get blown wide open, and we're going to finally know what, if anything, the cops actually have to prove when and how and why this murder took place. But everybody's reacting to this. Everybody's trying to get to the bottom of it. I don't think I've seen a story like this in years. And ultimately, really, we're just doing the best we can to try and piece this together while we wait for the LAPD to give their update. It could end up going to the feds, could end up being an FBI situation if it turns out that the body was moved between states. Highly possible, highly plausible, especially considering he had a tour going on. He's originally from Texas. There's that video of him at the motel stop in New Mexico. It's all very suspect. But yep, that's the last video I'm going to do on this today. I'm about to do a massive update on the Young Thug and Wife and Lucci albums that dropped yesterday. I've listened to them both twice. I'm going to give them probably another listen through, make a few more notes, grab a few Reddit posts, as you know I like to do. But yep, I'll be back with some more content. I'll do the Thug video, then I'll have some more updates tomorrow. If there's any new David updates, I will bring those to you. If there's not, I'm not going to force another video on it unless there is actually some new interesting information that's come out. But when that does happen, I will be sure to bring it to you guys. I will be covering other things, but really, this is the only game in town right now, man. There ain't too much else going on that's this interesting, that's got me this hooked as far as actually trying to get to the bottom of the mystery. So I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate you watching this. Shout out to Criminal Lawyer Reacts, Bruce Rivers, amazing YouTuber. Make sure you go and subscribe to him, my guy. Appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out.